With just 2 rounds remaining, the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship is rapidly gaining in momentum.
So Mike Jones continues his domination of the Australian Superbike Championship, cruises to victory.
Today, we take you trackside as the sport's premier domestic series moves to Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. There's full throttle action in Superbike and Supersport and highlights of breathtaking action in production and Moto 3. Plus, we'll look back at what has been a thrilling season so far.
Oh, look at that! Oh!
And we present a feature story on the Moraes family. We also take a look into race bike preparation ahead of major events. Former national champion Steve Martin road tests the new Honda Fireblade. Plus, we profile the legendary Mal Campbell. On Fox Sports, this is the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Our coverage is proudly presented by Yamaha Motor Finance, Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance, Motul and Pirelli.
Hi, great to have your company on Fox Sports around Australia, and a very warm welcome to an extremely chilly Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania for the penultimate round of the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Should be an absolute beauty today, and once again Mike Jones has been the dominant performer in qualifying. I'm joined by former World Endurance Champion and our expert commentator Steve Martin. Is there any stopping him?
Well, you know what? The conditions are chillier, as you said today, so these cooler conditions might just be enough to allow some of the other guys to get up there with him.
And your thoughts on this racetrack from a rider's perspective?
Well, there's a lot of overtaking opportunities here, especially down into the hairpin at the bottom of the straight. It's very fast, the fastest corner in Australian motor racing history here at Symmons Plains, so there's plenty of high-speed action.
Of course, Supersport will also be showcased on our coverage today, and well, I guess we'll expect more of what we've seen thus far in the championship, some very close racing, but Braden Elliott has been outstanding.
He has been outstanding, but I will point out this is the first time that Kane Burns on the Suzuki has actually qualified on the front row, so I'm expecting a big tussle between those two boys.
Look forward to working with you. Steve Martin, former national champion, former World Endurance champion, part of our Fox Sports Australian Superbike Championship coverage. It's been a stellar season thus far in 2015. If you've not been across it necessarily, this is what has transpired in the opening 3 rounds.
The Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship saw the unveiling of a new era when the opening round of hostilities got underway at the world-famous Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Victoria. The event doubling as the opening round of the World Superbike Championship. After a tremendous day of action at the picturesque venue, Team Honda's Racing's Troy Herfoss claimed opening round honours in the Superbike class, recording a 2nd place and a race win to finish ahead of teammate Josh Hook, with Mike Jones finishing the day in 3rd on the Cube Racing Team Kawasaki.
On the main straight, checkered flag is poised. Oh, wow! Hook had a massive crack. Herfoss has won it.
Yeah, it was amazing. My first win here on a Superbike, and yeah, it was a close one. Yeah, Hookie had one last lunge at the line, but you know, what better way to finish off a weekend? Honda won 2.
Meanwhile, in the fiercely competitive Super Sport class, it was New South Welshman Michael Blair taking out race 2, emphatically claiming overall honours. Blair added to his opening race win on Saturday with an equally impressive win in race 2 on Sunday, finishing the round with 50 points. 10 points clear of 2nd place Callum Spriggs. 3rd place overall went to Victorian Ryan Taylor, who was 7 points behind Spriggs.
Onto the main straight, final time. Michael Blair, he won race 1 and he wins race 2 in Supersport. Callum Spriggs gave it everything.
Yeah, stoked, you know, after last year, such a hard start, so, you know, it's good to come back full fitness and, yeah, show them what we can do in the first round. So.
South Australian youngster Ollie Simpson put in a dominant display of racing in the Moto3 125 GP category at Phillip Island. Simpson added to his 2 race wins on Saturday with a clinical 3rd race victory on Sunday to clean sweep the round and take first overall, ahead of Victorian Matt Barton and Ted Collins in 3rd. Some 6 weeks later, the teams embarked on the journey north to the Morgan Park Raceway in Queensland, and an excellent crowd turned up in perfect weather conditions for round 2. In Superbike action, rising star Cube Racing team pilot Mike Jones swept the class by virtue of impressive wins in both races.
And the all-conquering Kawasaki this weekend celebrates with a mono across the line.
JD Racing's Daniel Falzon finished the round in 2nd after recording 2 runner-up finishes, whilst Ryan Hampton claimed 3rd overall, followed by a consistent run throughout the day. Mike Jones became the new series leader.
You know, the Australian Outdoor Living Cube Racing team have got the bike working really well for me this weekend, and it's just been perfect from the start to the finish, and I couldn't be happier.
In the Supersport class, New South Wales rider Braden Elliott won both races to win the 2nd round comfortably in advance of Troy Gunther, who took 2nd place, while Kane Burns ended the round in 3rd place.
Down the straight they come, and out of the slipstream moves Braden Elliott.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better weekend. To get my first pole position was pretty unreal, and then, as you said, come away with 2 race wins was a perfect weekend.
The highly competitive Moto3 class produced sensational racing, and Callum Barker came away with the round win. After winning the opening race on Saturday and the 2nd race held on Sunday, Barker had to settle for 3rd place in the final race after being issued with a 10-second jump start penalty. But he still managed to claim 3rd in the race, which was enough to give him the round victory ahead of Ben Leonard and Brian Horton. The championship table saw Matt Barton leading Brian Horton by 6 points after 2 rounds. The mighty production class took centre stage at Morgan Park and produced typically outstanding entertainment. Western Australia's Michelle Moraes won the round overall in advance of Justin Hall and Lilish Ross. 5 weeks later, the National Championship moved to Barbagallo Raceway at Wanneroo. And once again, quality fields in all classes took to the West Australian circuit. In the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship, the battle between Mike Jones and Daniel Falzon continued to rage.
This time, Mike Jones is through. If he holds a tight line, and he does, he cuts that Falzon off.
Mike Jones, riding for the Australian Outdoor Living Cube Racing team, stamped his authority on proceedings, winning both races, fending off determined challenges from Falzon, who finished runner-up in both races. Meanwhile, hometown hero Cameron Stronach claimed 3rd spot overall. Jones led the championship on 138 points, 19 clear of Falzon, followed by Ryan Hampton and Ben Henry.
A bit frustrating coming 2nd, but our team's making massive progress every round, and that's not to be shone upon. We're proving we're very fast. Just a little bit more consistency, some more modifications to our bike before next round will be perfect, and I'm sure we can get up there.
In Supersport, it was again Braden Elliott putting the cleaners through his opposition. Sean Giles' protege was clinical in defeating Victoria's Alex Phillis and the Northern Territory's Sam Lambert, who took 3rd overall. After 3 rounds, Elliott led the championship, 19 points clear of Kane Burns and Aidan Coote, both of whom have enjoyed consistency throughout the series thus far. K1's Racing's Brian Horton proved that age is no barrier, as he took the overall honours in the Moto3 class from Tom Bramage in 2nd and Benjamin Leonard in 3rd. Brian Horton led the championship on 164 points in advance of Matt Barton and Tom Bramage. Meantime, local rider Tim Bourjosh won the overall honours on a countback in the 300cc production class, Moraes continued to lead the championship by 5 points over Justin Hall and Drew Sells.
I still remember 2008 was the year. I was at Valencia in Spain and I saw Carlos Checa riding this machine for the very first time, the CBR 1000 RR. It's been a while since they've made major updates. The CBR is essentially the same as that bike in 2015, but it's built that way and it's still a good, solid bike. There's a lot of competition out there now. The ZX10, the new YZF-R Yamaha. We've seen the Suzuki last time out. But the CBR has still got all the credentials to cut it on the road and on the racetrack, and that's why Honda has left it the way it is. Basically, it's an inline 4,000cc machine like all the others. It doesn't have the electronics that some of the other bikes have, but that's a good thing if you're an old school rider. I like the fact that you can just get on it and you have to use the sensors to make it work well. It's got Takiko brakes on the front, not Brembo's, but they do work well. The main thing about this bike now is that it's quite cheap. Although the dash on the Honda doesn't have some of the fancy gizmos that some of the latest model Supersport bikes have, it does have, you know, all the stuff you need. It's got the digital readout speedo. Of course, your tacho is the major focus on that dash, and the gear selector. And to be honest, they're the main things you really need when you're out there either on the track or on the road. It's also got the big piston fork shower suspension. The advantage I like about this is they're very good quality. And they're also really easy to adjust. You can see on the top of the fork caps there, you've got your compression and rebound dampening adjustable from a screwdriver. You don't even have to get off the bike. The frame and swing arm on the CBR has been virtually unchanged since 08. But I'll tell you what, that is for good reason, because it works really, really well. It's nimble, it's light, and it makes this CBR one of the sweetest handling machines on the market today still. Visually, one of the biggest differences between the 07 model and this newer model, of course, is the fact that they've moved the exhaust pipe from up under the seat down closer to the centre of the bike. And the reason they've done that, of course, is to make the bike a lot more mass centralised to make it handle even better than it already did. The heart of the CBR, of course, is the 4-cylinder inline configuration that this bike has had all through its model career. It's been around for a while now. It doesn't have the absolute top-end power of some of the other machines, but it still can win races in the hands of some of our top racers. Tell you what, I can't wait to give this beast a bit of a run. Let's see how it goes. Well, I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of time to warm up. You're straight into it here at Symmons Plains, and I'm just having a nice little ride out on this CBR 1000 RR, and you get straight into it down that first back straight up to about 230 k's an hour, and then there's a big surprise at the end for the hairpin, hard on the brakes on the Honda. I'll tell you what, it's acting quite nicely into this hairpin off the end of the back straight there, turn 4. A lot of overtaking will be done there later on in today's races. Once again, flat out up through the gears, nice little wheelie there, plenty of power from this CBR, then through one of the fastest corners in motorsport. 250, 255 kilometres an hour I'm doing at the moment. Not as fast as the big boys we'll see later on, but I'll tell you what, not bad for a standard street going machine. Just a couple of corners to go now, and this has really opened my eyes, this CBR. Really enjoyed my time on this machine, and I'm looking forward to getting back into the pits and give you my opinion on what I think about it.
Well, there we have it. I really enjoyed my time on the CBR. I understand why Honda haven't changed it too much, because it's still a really, really good bike. Still very popular out there as well. You see a lot of them around, and fantastic. Does everything really well. Thank you, Honda. I like the CBR 1000.
Great to have you with us on Fox Sports, our coverage from Symmons Plains Raceway in a very chilly Tasmania. Significant wind chill factor here today as we present round 4 of the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. An aerial look at this Symmons Plains Raceway with Steve Martin.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's certainly a circuit of two halves. You can see all the twisty bits down the left-hand bottom end of the screen, but then there's those two massive long straights leading up to turn 4, and 5 and 6 there, the fastest corner in Australian racing.
Now a check of the progress point score in the championship. Heading into this penultimate round in Tasmania, Mike Jones well clear of Daniel Falzon. Ryan Hampton, the Kiwi, doing a fantastic job in advance of Ben Henry. Here's Bryony Ingerson.
Well, he's the Superbike points leader and he's clean swept the last 2 rounds. He's starting on fine form again this event. Pole position yesterday, Mike Jones. Fantastic lap, the only one into 54 seconds, I think.
Yeah, look, it's had a fantastic Super Pole session there in the Pirelli Super Pole, and got the 53-second lap there. Was awesome. So, you know, felt really good on the bike, and just can't thank the Australian Outdoor Living Q Racing team enough.
You haven't been off pole or off of a race win since the first round at Phillip Island. You're looking to clean sweep again here this weekend. Are you confident of doing that, or are the other guys kind of stepping up?
Yeah, look, I feel pretty confident that we can clean sweep again this weekend. You know, obviously getting the pole position gives me the confidence to be able to do that, and starting from the first row of the grid means that I'll be able to hopefully get away and get into the lead and take the race win.
Yes, Bryony catching up with Mike Jones a little earlier. You can see just how windy it is here at Symmons Plains. Riders now on the grid for the first of 2 Superbike races this afternoon. Here's Bryony.
Daniel, the bike's looking a little worse for wear after that accident the other day. How's the bike? How are you?
I'm a little bruised and battered, to be honest. I've got strapping on my hands and up my back as well, just for a little bit of stability while I'm riding. As for the bike, mechanically it's working quite well. Cosmetically it's a little worse for wear, and it's disheartening seeing that. I have an emotional attachment to my girlfriend and my bike. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the race anyway. I think the bike's capable of being very competitive.
Yes, Daniel Falzon has done a great job in his first season racing Superbikes. Let's go back to Bryony.
Ryan, a front row start for you. It's a good place to start. You haven't been outside the top 10 all season. What can you hope for starting off the front row?
Well, this is, again, definitely the best place to be. Clear row in front, well, no one in front of me, so it's just open track. It's just a matter of getting a good start, putting my head down, sort of getting into a bit of a groove, and absolutely trying to give it everything we've got, and yeah, running with these front boys and taking the race as it comes, and we'll see what happens.
Your best finish so far this season, a 3rd place at Morgan Park Raceway. Surely this is going to be your best chance to date of improving on that?
Without a doubt, yeah. This circuit's pretty much gelled with me right from the word get-go, so I feel well and truly set.
Okay, we've heard from a number of the riders. The start is imminent now, race 1 of Superbike action for Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance. And the starting grid sees Mike Jones, Daniel Falzon and Ryan Hampton sharing the front row. Then Henry Symmons Wooten. And look, the numbers here not huge this weekend, Steve, but pretty high on quality.
It's certainly very high on quality. We've got all the major contenders out there. But the thing I'm interested in is this first turn 1, 2 and 3 after this warm-up lap, because there's not a long run into those into the turn 1 here at Symmons Plains. It's going to be very, very imperatively important to get a good start if you're one of those fast guys. Remember, Daniel Falzon fighting to keep the championship alive this weekend.
Very much so. The current race lap record here at Symmons Plains for Superbikes, Josh Waters 53.387. on a Suzuki. Now, that was back in November of 2011. Tough to see that being eclipsed today. It's very cold here. Track temperature will prove a challenge to get maximum traction in the tyres. Underway, race number 1, and Falzon, the South Australian early race leader. Mike Jones tucks in behind him, the current championship leader, on bike number 46, underway in the first event.
Falzon once again got a blistering start, the same way he does it every single time. I don't know how he does it, but he's leading into that turn 4, very tight hairpin up the end of the straight. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of overtaking there during this race. And we're on board now, heading into one of the fastest corners in Australian racing, turn 5 and 6 here at Symmons Plains.
Yeah, riding with Hampton, who's in 3rd position. And you can see that Mike Jones is now starting to harass Daniel Falzon, race leader on bike number 25. They're only separated by 1 machine length at this junction. We look out the back of the Jones machine, and you can see Hampton, the New Zealander, on 89 in 3rd. Ben Henry is 4th, not too far away during the early stages of this race. And machine number 19 is up running fairly prominently too. Brett Symmons, the Tasmanian local, doing a good job.
Yeah, he is. But I'll tell you who I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with the Kiwi on the Next Gen Motorsports bike at the moment, Ryan Hampton on number 89. He's really improving throughout this series and hanging right onto the back of the 2 series leaders out in front at the moment.
Again, a quick shot on board with Hampton. You're looking at the top 3. This event presented by Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance. Race 1 of 2. You can see Symmons is doing a good job back in 50s, really making life difficult for Ben Henry, the rider currently sitting in 4th. Well, this is some story developing here at Symmons Plains in race number 1. Falzon has been knocking on the door all season. It's been a fairly impressive debut on the Superbike class for him. He surrenders the lead there to Jones, who nips up on the inside. What can Falzon do about it?
Yeah, I know. Once again, he's led the early laps, but Mike Jones has warmed everything up, and now he's hit his stride, and he's already out in front. Let's see what Falzon can do. He has been learning every time that he gets behind the more experienced Mike Jones. Remember, this is the first year for Yamaha in the Australian Superbike Championship. As we look at a restart there, look at the way that Falzon gets that Caterpillar Yamaha R1 off the line. Mike Jones, though, another look there. Mike Jones on the inside. A good start from him, 2nd place. Not a bad start, but Hampton as well, good one. Ben Henry there, number 18, he got a good start. But there's the overtake. Mike Jones up the inside, over the bumps. Look how bumpy the circuit is there as we head into turn 2.
Yeah, it's no place for the faint-hearted. We thank Suzuki for its support of our coverage and the championship, presenting the replays on our Fox Sports coverage. And we now look at Hampton being stalked by Ben Henry. There's the race update, left-hand side of screen. Jones, obviously during the early stages, we saw Falzon get a flyer and lead the race. It's not the first time that has happened this season. What's really impressive about Mike Jones is, Steve Martin, is he's cool, he's calm under pressure. He doesn't have brain snaps when he relinquishes the race lead early, and he just grinds himself back into the race.
No, he's had a lot of pressure in his short career. Raced overseas for a year or 2 as well, did Mike Jones. And I'll tell you what, if there's ever a pressure cooker, it's racing in Europe. So this man has got a lot of experience, even though he's a young chap, but he certainly knows what he's got to do. It looks to me like Falzon just struggling a little bit, really dropping off the pace of Jones at the moment. Jones is on a mission. Remember, he wants to win this championship with a round to spare. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it, but it would be nice if he could wrap it up here. I'm sure that's what he's thinking.
Indeed, good to have your company on Australia's sports leader. Our highlights coverage of the championship coming to you from Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. We now ride on board with Daniel Falzon, the JD Racing Caterpillar YZF-R1, and the Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance on board. Back in 2nd position, so still maintaining his splendid consistency.
Ooh, he's just come up on Nathan Spiteri in the wrong spot, but he's managed to get through nice and clean. Looks like he's closed up a little bit on the man in front as well. Very bumpy out of here. Look at that.
Big reminder, of course, as this program goes to air, the countdown is well and truly on for the final round of action at Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit in Victoria. one of the world's finest circuits. You can see Falzon there, locking up the rear under brakes, coming up on October 4, the final round of the championship with all the support classes on display.
Yeah, he ran a bit wide there, did Falzon, but he did make some ground up in the first part of that lap, and he made some ground up under brakes, but then just lost a little bit. He's trying every trick in the book to try and keep up to the back of Mike Jones. Cold track temperatures here, of course, and remember, we've got a little bit of a tyre war out there as well. We've got Pirelli with Mike Jones leading the race, and Falzon on the Dunlop shod Yamaha at the moment, as he just once again catches a back marker in exactly the wrong spot.
Ooh. He had to change lines dramatically there.
That hasn't helped Daniel Falzon at all. Phil Zach on the Aprilia.
Yeah, machine number 11.
Yep, the Polish rider. Good to see him in our series. Once again, Falzon out of shape into the hairpin. Look at that, he's tried to go round the outside, can't do it there, so then he's flipped it up the inside to try and get a better run onto that back straight, but he's tipped it in, and his handlebar has just clipped the back of the rider in front of him. But while that was happening, more action on track. Ben Henry made the move up into third.
Yes, our onboard camera capturing that. Hampton surrendering third spot to Henry.
It's good to see Ben Henry as well. He's certainly surging back into form. He rode well at Western Australia, but he's really come on strong here this weekend.
Yep, so we look at that courtesy of Suzuki. That all unfolded whilst we were replaying the incident involving Daniel Falzon. So you've not missed anything significant there. Lap 15 of 17. There's no change up front. It is still Mike Jones in advance of Daniel Falzon. And here is the race leader I allude to.
Yeah, of course, the number 46 ZXR Kawasaki Pirelli shod machine of Mike Jones in a world of his own at the moment. Just a couple of laps to hold it together to get more vital points towards his first ever Australian Superbike Championship, which he hopes he can take away this weekend.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Mike Jones, and I have to use the word domination of this championship, in 2015 has exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Has it exceeded yours? And how far will this kid go in the sport?
Well, you know, Mike Jones, he's every bit prepared to take on anybody in the country or anybody in the world now. He's improved a lot. I've been watching his racing from his early days when he raced in the Super Stock 600 in Europe, and he's certainly come a long, long way. And I would put my money on him to, you know, to go all the way.
All right, nice rap coming from the former world endurance champion, Steve Martin, and his expert comments on our program, which of course is presented by Motul and Pirelli, the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. And Mike Jones leads very comfortably on what is the final lap here at Symmons Plains Raceway. I reckon the temperature, quite frankly, would be battling to reach double figures at this stage of the day. I reckon it's 8 or 9 degrees. And we are looking for a fridge to sit in to get warm.
Yeah, we certainly are, aren't we? Look at Mike now, just lifts the back wheel under brakes into that very tight hairpin. First gear hairpin on these super bikes, and they get up to over 270 kilometres an hour now into the fast right-hander, 5 and 6 here. I'll tell you what, it looks a lot easier on TV than it really is in real life.
Do you think riders enjoy this circuit, this layout?
They certainly do when they're in Mike Jones's position, and that is about to take a checkered flag.
Yep, competitors love the tracks that they do well at and win at. So not far for Jones to go now, and Mike Jones wins race 1 of 2 here at Symmons Plains in the penultimate round of the Australian Superbike Championship. There is Falzon across the line, defeating Ben Henry. Henry was certainly on a charge. Latter stages of that event, Hampton came next, then Wootton, Blaisley, Pajamas, Senior Fleming, and Keogh, the West Australian, rounding out the top 10. That was our highlights coverage. Brian Ingerson doing an exemplary job in the pits again this weekend. We'll catch up with Mike Jones in a moment. Of course, still ahead on today's program, highlights of Super Sport and some highlights packages of production and also of Moto 3. And there is the man. Winners are grinners. Let's go down to Bryony.
Ben, congratulations. Season best result for yourself and a double podium for Kawasaki Cube Racing. Nice work.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been building. Been struggling just with a few little things throughout the year, but all is well, and team's back on track.
Catching up to Falzon there on those last few laps too, I think it was less than a second gap towards the end. Does that give you a bit of confidence heading into the second race today?
Yeah, I've been watching him all weekend, and he's had a bit of a bad run there, and I sort of thought if everything went right, I might be able to beat him, but it went right for me, and then it went wrong for me. So see how we go in the next one.
Well, Daniel, not the result that you wanted, that lap traffic. It kind of didn't work in your favour, did it?
No, it really didn't. It was quite an unfortunate race. I feel that we had quite a good pace in up to about lap 5, and I started reeling in the leader. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on my side, and we caught up to lap markers where it's pretty much impossible to pass on the track. So I had to sit behind and play the backseat driver just for a few corners, and that's enough to let the leader get the gap and lose the slipstream. So that's unfortunate, but nevertheless, I'm happy with second place.
Well, Mike, that is 5 from 5. Congratulations! What a superb record you're holding this year so far.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was really good to get the race win there. Just couldn't be happier. The Australian Outdoor Living Q Racing team have given me a fantastic bike, and the Pirelli tyres did a great job there. Obviously, the track temp is a lot cooler today on race day than it has been in practice and qualifying, but we're able to get through and get the race win, so really happy.
Yes, the current championship leader delighted with how things are playing out thus far today. Mathematically, it's possible for him to wrap the championship up this afternoon. A break on Fox Sports, back with Super Sports.
On Fox Sports, this is the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Our coverage is proudly presented by Yamaha Motor Finance, Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance, Motul and Pirelli.
Good to have your company as our coverage of the championship continues from a very blustery Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. It is Super Sport next up, but first, Tech Talk with Steve Martin.
The Australian Superbike Championship has been around for about 30 years now. There's been a lot of lessons learnt in that time, and one of the things that the riders look for in a bike, apart from speed, is reliability. I've got Phil Tainton here with me, who's been around the championship for a long time now, won lots of championships, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the ways that the reliability of the bike has improved over the last 10 or 15 years. Phil, what's your take on this improvement that we've seen?
Well, look, the improvements come from everywhere, Steve, as you know, and like you mentioned, I've been around for a long time, in all of that 30 years. But yeah, look, we've seen technology changes in the bikes themselves. But one of the biggest changes or movements forward we have in technology is in the oil and the reliability of the engines, which as a rider you would probably appreciate, having that confidence and faith in the bike to continue for the whole race. So, that in itself has been a huge improvement. And the product here in Motul we recommend and highly recommend with all our engine building on Superbike and Super Sport.
Yeah, so I mean, what are you seeing different now with this Motul oil that you use? I mean, what is it that is an advantage? I mean, you pull these engines apart regularly. I mean, what's better about the oil?
Look, it's the reliability in essence, Steve, and we see it in the bearing wear, in the main bearings and the big ends. This 300V ester-based oil that Motul have produced, we find the big end bearing shells and the main bearing shells look better than any other oil that we pull apart engines that have been running in. We use it in other places of the motorcycle. For instance, the 660 Motul brake fluid is a fantastic brake fluid, doesn't fade, especially at tracks like this, as you know, is a very hard braking track, especially up the hairpin up there. We rely on this brake fluid and the braking efficiency of the bike. And of course, so much more so, even in the front suspension, I highly recommend the 5-weight light racing Motul front fork fluid. We get fantastic results out of that, and yeah, I'm a big fan of the Motul oil product.
What is that about the front fork oil? I mean, like, I remember when I started racing back in the day, we had 10 weight, 20 weight, 15 weight, and that's how we adjusted the front. But now everybody seems to use this lightweight oil. What's that all about?
Well, Steve, the beauty of the lightweight oil, for a start, now we have cartridges in there where we didn't have before. We have larger cartridges, 30mm cartridges. So we've got good control over the fork. We don't need the heavy oil. The problem with the heavy oil is, like anything heavy in the way of oil, whether an engine oil or a suspension oil, as the race goes on, the heavy oil gets thinner, so your suspension changes from the start of the race to the end of the race. With the lightweight oil, they've been able to perfect that and maintain a consistency through the start of the race to the end of the race, because the oil is thin to start with and it maintains a more constant a thickness throughout the whole race.
Well done there, great insight, Steve Martin and Phil Tayton into race bike preparation. As we now bring you the pictures from the grid in race 1 for the Supersport class today. The overall championship points now on screen. Braden Elliott, he's had some season, the New South Welshman, in advance of Kane Burns, the former dirt tracker, then Aidan Coote, Sam Lambert, Ryan Taylor, Alex Phillips. Really looking forward to this. Here's Bryony on the grid.
Well, Kane, you're pushing Braden in the championship. It's hard to believe that this is your first front row start for the season. What are you going to do to maximise it?
Hopefully take the race win, as everyone wants to, but today's definitely been my best chance of the season, so hopefully I can maximise my chances from the front row and take the race victory, as we'd all hope for.
Conditions are a lot cooler than they have been for the whole event so far. How does that change your setup or your preparation?
I think maybe for us the Pirelli tyre will work in our advantage. I think both the other guys on the front row ride for Dunlop, so I'm hoping that the Pirelli works in our favour and we'll see what happens at the end of the race.
All right, good luck.
Thanks very much, guys.
Bryony with Kane Burns on the grid. He's had a stellar season, the rider of bike 30, and is just improving at every round. The Supersport category, once again, not disappointing in season 2015. We've seen a number of riders contribute to some terrific entertainment. Braden Elliott, of course, the man to beat. And there's the qualifying information for you on screen. Burns second, then Lambert, Coote, Quinn, and then Mason Coote on board bike number 53. Limington, Van Buren has been competitive throughout various stages of the season. So we look forward to this with no little expectation. The race presented to you by Yamaha as a part of our coverage of the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Track temperatures, we're led to believe, up around 16 degrees at this juncture, which is staggering considering the air temperature is nothing like that.
16 and breezy by the look of it.
Here we are. Will it be Elliott or Burns? The drag race to the first corner. Underway, Supersport race number 1. And Braden Elliott, the New South Welshman, on the Suzuki GSXR. Early race leader in advance of Kane Burns. Also Suzuki mounted as they jostle for positions early in this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this race. It's very close all weekend. Braden Elliott being pushed by Kane Burns in second place. Sam Lambert as well there was pushing the boys. Just a couple of tenths in it in qualifying. But once again, look at Braden. He's already got a couple of tenths. That is where he excels. He just gets off the blocks and gets out in front, and he's able to do that fastest lap, first lap past the start-finish line.
Aidan Coote doing an excellent job, Steve. Yellow machine, the Yamaha YZF R6. He's up running 4th. There he is now through the left-hander.
Chris Quinn there also on the Pale Ale machine, just behind him in the background there. Sam Lambert as well. All the major contenders in this race are right where they need to be at the moment.
Now on lap 2 of 17. In our highlights package, we've given him a wrap. Aidan Coote runs off the circuit. How unfortunate for him, the Victorian.
Yeah, that's definitely not what he wanted to do in that race. Just made a misjudgment of track there. But look at Kane Burns right on the back now of Braden Elliott, the man that's been so dominant this year.
Sam Lambert doing well too, the rider from the Northern Territory, running fairly prominently in the opening Supersport race. But here comes the leading duo. Braden Elliott through that fast right-hander with Kane Burns right up his exhaust pipe. Meanwhile, we ride on board with the South Australian Limington, who's passed on the inside. Of course, Limington riding the YZF R6, the Yamaha on board, putting you right into the battle.
Yeah, one of the youngest riders in the field, 16 years old, of course. Look at both of the Suzukis didn't get that best launch, the clutch grabbing and launching the wheel into the air, but nevertheless, they still got into turn 1, first and second.
A couple of different angles of the race start for our replay partner, Suzuki. And this is now the perspective from an onboard point of view as the lights turn green And all of that presented by Suzuki. Now, whilst we showed you the replay of the start from multiple angles, Lambert, meanwhile, has gone up into third position. So you've missed nothing once again. And there is the battle for third and fourth with Sam Lambert from the Northern Territory aboard the Triumph Daytona, getting himself up into third position. Meanwhile, we just see the leading two riders go through at the bottom of screen. And here's Lambert. And in fourth position, it's Chris Quinn aboard the Cooper's Pale Ale Yamaha YZF R6. And they're having some battle, Steve. In fact, as you can see, Quinn goes back and takes third position.
Yeah, Lambert must have made some sort of mistake out of there. Oh, he's got a problem. He's just put his hand up. This is not good for Lambert. Look, he's tipped into the hairpin. He's run wide, but it looks to me like the bike's not accelerating out of there the way it should. He's got some sort of problem. Look, Quinn nearly hit him. And in a minute, you watch, he puts his hand up. I think he's got some sort of problem. That might be the end of the race for him. Oh, Elliott wide allows Burns through.
Wow, so Kane Burns has gone to the front by virtue of Elliott running wide.
Well, that's what you got to do. You got to keep pressure on the guy in front, and that's what Kane Burns did beautifully. And now he's leading the race.
Yeah, meantime, we're giving you a look at Aidan Coote aboard the Yamaha YZF R6. And Coote is currently fourth on the racetrack behind Burns, Elliott and Quinn. The riders have spread out, so we're taking this opportunity to show you where some of the other performers outside the top two are placed on the racetrack.
Yep, Ryko, a dry rider, and Sign Pro, some of his sponsors as well. So he'll be happy to hear that we've given him a bit of a plug.
He qualified reasonably consistently, did Aidan Coote. And now we take a look further back at Thyron Van Vuren, the West Australian, on the 21 machine, running in the top six. And he has been pretty handy throughout 2015.
Yeah, he has. He's normally been running further closer to the front than what we would expect it, but he's certainly come a long way to make it here this weekend. He actually started off in South Africa. He's a South African, moved to Western Australia and come all the way here to Symmons Plains in Tasmania. So that is taking your racing very seriously.
Yeah, that is a massive commitment with a capital C. Lap 13 of 17. It's good to have you with us and on our coverage.
Of course, this circuit a lot different to the circuit of Wanneroo that we were just at recently, so perhaps he's just having a little bit of trouble adjusting to the circuit, but this nothing better than getting one race under your belt to know what you need to do. There's young Nick Limington as well on the number 27 machine, just having a bit of a dice there with Cam Russell.
Yeah, again, good to look at some of the other riders in the race. We are now on board with Limington, the JD Racing Caterpillar for Yamaha, and the on-board action.
Of course, Limington is the youngest rider in the field, a D-grader, was racing in the pre-Moto 3 class last year, so very new to these 600 four-strokes. Definitely one to watch for the future. But one to watch right now is Kane Burns. He needs this. He needs to put the pressure on Braden Elliott. Braden Elliott made that mistake earlier in the race. Now Burns has a real chance of outright victory here today.
I'd like to give Motorcycling Australia a wrap on our coverage, the Sports Peak body who have reinvented the Australian Superbike Championship with the support of mighty classes such as the Supersport in 2015. The championship is back on the rails. It's attracted good crowds, good media coverage, in the main good rider entry lists, and as you can see, the presentation of the circuit. So all the crew involved in the staging of the event should take a bow, and of course a big thanks to Fox Sports for jumping on board with showcasing the talents of these riders throughout 2015. Now you can see here that Kane Burns, the race leader on the orange bike 30, is under siege. Braden Elliott, who made a mistake in relinquishing the lead a few laps ago, is coming right back into calculations, and some of these slower machines in front of them could play a pivotal role here in the outcome.
Yeah, Braden Elliott will be rubbing his hands right now. He can get a good drive up the inside and perhaps go back past and into the lead, which won't help Kane Burns. Kane Burns really got duffed up by that lap traffic there. Braden Elliott back out front. Now we're going to see what Kane Burns is made of. Just a couple of laps left. Who will win this dogfight?
The leading two riders, they went past Toby Honeychurch and Michelle Moraes without too many problems Burns is stalking his prey now with Elliott back in front. Not far to go in this one. It's race 1 of 2 for Supersport. Burns has a look up the inside, but Elliott able to slam the door shut in his face.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Burns will be feeling quite aggressive at the moment. Once again there, Kane Burns had to go around the outside. Braden Elliott got a better run through the traffic there and has made up for that mistake he made earlier in the race.
So, here we are. Lap 16 of 17. Elliott race leader in advance of Kane Burns. They've been able to open up a very big gap over the next place rider, Chris Quinn.
Business as usual for the number 51 man now. He's probably just having a sigh of breath, but he can't breathe too much because Kane Burns is still right there. And we're coming in to the strongest part of the circuit for Kane right now.
Yeah, through that fast-flowing right-hander, big speeds.
He's closed up a lot there.
Has he ever? So Elliott leader through the left-hander. Second place rider on screen now, giving it absolutely everything. Back onto the main straight they run. So the last lap coming up now in this Super Sport race. What a tremendous class it is. So competitive the world over. And can Elliott hold on and take yet another victory? We're talking about Sean Giles' protege here. But Kane Burns, he just gets better at every round. This is not all over just yet, Steve Martin.
No, certainly not. The number 30 machine has been in the background now, and he's sussed out Elliott in the final stages. Of course, tyre wear comes into it. We're coming into the sector of this circuit where if Burns has got a chance, it's got to be down into that turn 7. The corner after 5 and 6, these really fast right-hander. Burns has got a good run. He's looking up the inside, and he's through. Look at that.
Brilliant Kane Burns up the inside.
He's got to hold it tight, though. Otherwise, Burns will be back up the inside.
And managed to do brilliantly. So Kane Burns back onto the main straight. Here's Braden Elliott throwing everything at him, but the checkered flag flies. So Kane Burns wins the opening Supersport race today in an absolute thriller. You can see there are battles raging all over the circuit. Chris Quinn home in third, about 19 seconds further back behind the leading two. Then Aidan Coote a couple of seconds behind him. Van Buren, Limited, Russell, Coote, Spencer, and Honeychurch rounding out the top 10 in what was one of the best races of the season. Well done to Kane Burns.
Yeah, that was sensational. You can see he's happy. Big mono down the front straight and the little one down waving at the crowd. And that will be big pressure off his shoulders because he's now closed the gap to Elliott out in front as well.
So great job. I mentioned earlier in the program, a former dirt tracker and stamping his authority on that race today. Here's Briney.
Well, Chris, it was a great battle between yourself and Sam Lambert there for a while until he pulled in, and then it was a bit of a lonely race for you there in third.
Yeah, it got a bit boring for a while there, but there's always something to keep you entertained out there, so I just watched me board and maintained a good gap. But yeah, I made the move on Lambert a couple of times. I made it stick in the last one, and then next lap round the board showed a big gap, so it's just in my favour, I guess, and just tried to maintain it from there.
Braden, what a race. You were looking odds on for your 5th consecutive win there, but Kane just clinched it from you on that last lap.
Yeah, it was definitely a close race, you know, coming across the finish line there and every single lap seeing 0 on my pit board. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but I just tried to keep my focus on myself and put in consistent laps, but unfortunately I made a little bit of a mistake and he ended up getting me there in the last turn. So it was a close race. Good to have 2 Suzukis up the front there and go back and have a bit of a rethink and see what we can do in the second one.
Kane, congratulations. What a way to nail your first Supersport race win. Talk us through that move on the last lap.
Yeah, no, it was a bit nerve-wracking. I thought I could do it all race and I had to sit there and bite my time because Braden always knew I'd have a go to come back at me if I gave it a chance. But I was quite confident throughout the race and actually all weekend that we had the speed, but it all played into my hands and it was a great race for me.
You took the lead initially when Braden had a small off, but he managed to get you back in lap traffic. Tell me what you're thinking at that time.
Shit. No, it was a bit of a nervous time for me following those guys through there because the pit board told me he was right behind me again, and I knew that my run had been killed down the straight, so chances are he was going to come out in front of that one, but I just had to hang in there and try and tag him to the last corner, which ended up working out for me.
Now time on the program to look at the Motorcycling Australia event diary. culminating on October 3 in Bunbury, the Australian Junior Motocross Championship. Of course, the final round of the Australian Superbike Championship at Phillip Island, October 2 to 4, presented by Yamaha Motor Finance. You can also see the Australian Junior Track Championship, the Historic Road Racing Championship, and the Australian Supercross Championship being held in October. And don't forget this at Etihad Stadium.
So it's been 3 or 4 days here that's been very good. I feel it's coming more and more together now. We've been out looking for the dirt a couple of days, backwards and forwards. We have another test tomorrow. So it seems like we got a good race surface finally. They keep saying that they're going to make it the greatest Grand Prix in the world. It's going to be down here, so let's see what they do, and that's good.
We know Speedway is fast, it's exciting, it's colourful. It's an incredible sport to watch live, and what's going to make it is atmosphere. We've got people coming from New Zealand, Hong Kong, Singapore, as well as Europe. We've got a roof that closes, just like in Cardiff. We'll have a very passionate crowd, a knowledgeable crowd, and I think we're just going to have the most fitting finale to the 2015 season that's imaginable.
Obviously with the Australians on home ground, which they've never done for a World Championship. So I look forward to that, and I think it'll be very exciting.
It is not entirely unusual to see family dynasties in motorsport, and over the years there have been many such examples, adding further credence to that old adage, the family that plays together stays together. In Australian road racing, the Marias family are achieving great results in the production class, forming an integral support class to the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Michelle, who currently leads the production championship, fondly recalls how it all started.
Well, my dad had a Suzuki franchise in South Africa, and he used to give out free track days to the guys who bought motorcycles from him. And one day while I was at the track with him, I saw an advertisement for a development series, and I thought I'd try it. It was nice. They rented you the bike, they gave you the suits and everything, so if I didn't like it by the end of the year, then there's no bike to get rid of. But obviously the first time I got on the motorcycle, then yeah, it was over.
Sister Lara, who rides a junior 300cc Kawasaki, says following in Michelle's tyre tracks was an easy decision.
Well, I was 8 when I started. My sister started 3 years before that. And I don't know, I guess it was just really fun seeing my sister excelling, doing that. And I just followed. I thought it was the best thing ever. When I got my first PB50, I was scared out of my mind. I couldn't take it. I ran inside screaming, but I loved it in the end.
2015 represents the first season that Lara has tackled a national series of this magnitude.
Well, it's really fun. I've done a few seasons before, but not as intense as this one. It's really fun having my sister better than I am in some way, because she can help me a lot with riding and following me, and so I went right into her.
So what's it like for big sister Michelle seeing her sibling cutting loose on Australia's racetracks?
Oh, it's scary because it doesn't look like she doesn't look like she knows what she's doing. I wouldn't encourage anyone to get on the back of a bike with her. It's very nerve-wracking, and I don't think I worry for her. I worry more for the people that are riding against her.
Michelle says she feels it's her role to provide feedback to Lara, more so than the girl's dad.
Well, I think my dad's a bit faster than my sister at the moment, so he thinks he still has a bit of authority over that. But Yeah, I think it's mostly between us. Obviously, I'm going to tell her the truth until she gets too close, and then I might twist the truth a little bit.
Lara says she's been surprised by the manner in which her male competitors have reacted to her presence on the grid.
Well, most boys are really fun because we're girls and we've grown up around boys in the sport. We get along with them easy, which is for them easy to get along with us. So they're really friendly. I haven't come across many people who shun us because we're females. I guess it's fun to be one of the only girls because, you know, you get a lot of attention, which is fun.
The younger of the two sisters is currently contemplating career choices going forward. And despite her love of motorcycles, she doesn't see racing as being a long-term option.
Well, at the moment, I'm in year 9, so I'm starting to think about what I want to do because I have to take the classes. I'm in between a few things, but no, I don't think racing is involved in my big career choice. But it will be my hobby for a while. Hopefully, we can afford it.
And so we turn our attention to Father Claude, the man responsible for making it all happen. He remembers only too well the first time he stood back watching Michelle in her first race.
I think it was more the proudness of seeing her compete and see how much she loves it, and you know, it's just at some stage I was faster than her. That I kind of like enjoyed, and I still keep the pictures of that. But when she got getting fast enough that I had to give up racing to help her out. I think it's not the fact that she's a girl; it's just the fact that they both enjoy the racing so tremendously, and it keeps him focused, and it helped him academically about 15% in academical years because of the fact that they are being trained. They train their brain to focus a bit more. So from that perspective, my wife is the one that gets a bit more anxious when they're on the track and think about maybe they will crash or stuff like that. But for me, I'm just proud of the fact of seeing that they compete on an equal level to a male-dominate sport.
Thanks for joining us on Fox Sports. Now an opportunity to have a look at some of the racing in production here this weekend at Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. A very competitive class. The current series leader is the lady, Michelle Morais from Western Australia. And, well, it just never ceases to entertain. Unfortunately, time constraints don't allow us to bring you every lap of the production class, but it's just sensational stuff, Steve Martin.
It is. It's such close racing, and I mean, to see Michelle Morais right up there in the championship as well, you know, it just shows you the quality of riders throughout this championship.
Yeah, indeed. There's Morais up on the inside of Justin Hall. Now, this is highlights of race number 2 of 3 for the weekend. And, well, this is fairly commonplace to see riders, well, engaged in an all-out war on 2 wheels, and no different on this occasion in race 2.
No, it certainly is. Oh, we got a bit of a moment there.
Rider going down,
yeah, that was
27, Lachlan Keogh.
Yeah, poor old Lachlan Keogh bit the dust on that one. But then Michelle Morais pretty much had it all her own way there.
Yeah, Hall running wide on bike number 11. Here's Morais down low on the circuit. And in race number 2, it was Justin Hall across the line taking the win in advance of Michelle Morais.
There's certainly a lot of talented riders in that field.
Yeah, not necessarily a big grid full of bikes, but lacking for nothing in entertainment. Now, this is highlights of race number 3 now in the production class. And these bikes, 250 and 300cc, Steve.
Yeah, a couple of different classes out there. Of course, the older 250s, just to keep them out on the grid, and the newer 300s, the crop of 300s from all the manufacturers that make them. Probably Kawasaki would be the most common machine out on their field at the moment. But you can race any 300 you like.
Ricky Lanyon up on the inside here, involved in a good battle with Justin Hall as our highlights package of production continues. Michelle Morais at this juncture of the race in 4th and dropping the machine on the road.
Yeah, she just went into turn 1 that little bit too hot and held the front brake on over a bump, which is there, the circuit drops off, and she found out the hard way that these 300s aren't the easiest things to pick up, but she's fine and will live to fight another day.
Plenty of runoff at that part of the circuit here in Symmons Plains. Of course, Michelle was the winner of the Morgan Park round of the championship. Now, as a result of the Moraes crash, the race was stopped with red flags. Some competitors had completed 9 laps due to the crash at turn 2. So, as a result, the race was conducted in 2 parts, with the second part being over 4 laps.
Okay, well that makes it a sprint race, and a lot easier for Justin Hall this time out to get further up the field without the pressure from Michelle Moraes.
Yeah, the fastest lap of the race recorded by Ricky Lanyon, 1 minute 10.114. So that's production, and here's Brian Egerson.
Drew, congratulations. A good, solid result, 3rd overall for the weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty good. We had a pretty tough weekend setting up the bike, but we're very thankful for one of our main sponsors, Racing, who's been on the phone all weekend. You know, if he wasn't with us on board with this, you know, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Well, Ricky, a good job overall this weekend. A little bit bittersweet, I must imagine. No one ever wants to see a rider go down, but that may have potentially cost you the race win.
Yeah, I think it might have, but I hope Michelle's okay. She'll be back for the next one, I'm sure. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait for the next round and we'll see if we can do it again.
Justin, congratulations, the race win, the overall round win. It's not how you would have liked to do it, I imagine, but still a good result for you.
Yeah, it was. It was a shame what happened to Michelle, but I'm not sure what happened, but she would have been right up behind me, I'd say. And, yeah, it's good to come out of this weekend with a little bit of a lead, so a little bit of pressure off on the next one.
Stu, congratulations winning the Ladies' Championship here for this round. A pretty under the radar, but solid weekend for you.
Yeah, definitely a solid weekend. It's not the way I want to win it with Michelle in race safe at the moment. I really hope she has a quick recovery and back for Phillip Island, but yeah, great weekend.
Yeah, well done to all competitors in production. A fiercely competitive class after 4 rounds. Justin Hall goes to the front now, 30 points clear of Michelle Moraes, who was involved in that accident you just saw. Then Drew Sells and Elish Ross, whom we just heard from. It's great to have you with us on Fox Sports. We will take a break and come back with a lot more actions from Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania in just a moment.
On Fox Sports, you're watching the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship from Symmons Plains in Tasmania. Our coverage is proudly presented by Yamaha Motor Finance, Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance, Motul and Pirelli.
Mel Campbell is a name synonymous with superbike racing in Australia. The Tasmanian legend, who won multiple national crowns, grew up on a farm, and he always had a fascination with things that could go fast. After a childhood spent racing billy carts, he eventually got his first motorcycle at the age of 16. In the mid to late 1980s, he became one of the men to beat down under. He'd won the Castrol and New Zealand 6-hour races, several rounds of the Australian 500cc Championship, Australian Production Championships, endurance titles, the Swan International Series, 2 domestic superbike titles, and extensive overseas racing in what was a truly glittering career. Our very own Steve Martin caught up with the man affectionately known as Wally, and they began by reminiscing about a very special motorcycle.
Well, I guess I've got to start off with, Mel, a very special bike behind us there, which is you know, a bike that I grew up looking at when I was, you know, a young guy, and I saw you actually riding that bike back in the day. So the old VFR 750, but it's not just any old VFR 750, is it?
No, certainly not. I was pretty privileged at the time to be involved with Honda in their NR 750 project, and I wanted, I would say, go to Le Mans 24-hour race and do it with the NR 750. And that dragged us away from a Australian Superbike Championship round, and our team boss here at the time, Clive Wolverton, sort of thought that Honda should send out us a little bit better Superbike to help us win the title that year, and which they did, and which I did too, win the Superbike title. And yeah, the bike's probably only, I'd be guessing had probably 3 left like that in the world. There was probably 5 or 6 originally. There's a couple in America, one in a museum over there. But it is a very special thing in the history of superbike racing in Australia too. A lot of people would be unaware that we look at World Superbike racing today, but it all started in Australia and America, and the combinations of, you know, back to the Victorian Superbike Championship in the late 70s would have been the start of Superbike racing in the world.
You've essentially won, I know not official, but 4 championships in Australia, 2 of them official Australian Superbike championships. But on that VFR, you got a pretty special prize as well.
Yeah, certainly. Aussie Land Real Estate people were the sponsor of that series that year, and I won a block of land at Lakes Entrance, which I still don't have today, but it was a pretty good prize in those days, along with the prize money that went along with it. Yeah, no, it was rewarding times in that way.
You've raced against some pretty amazing talent to come through Australia. I mean, I remember the Swan Series when you were riding a 3-cylinder NS 500 or RS 500 against Wayne Gardner on his V4 factory machine. He came back, and I remember watching you there. I mean, that has to be the most amazing feeling that you had to be racing against a guy like that. He's come back. He's the man. But even on an underpowered bike, you were showing him the way home.
Yeah, it was certainly, they were great years, you know. Swan Series championships, they were fantastic. The NSR 500 was just an awesome bike to ride. And of course the higher the pedestal you look up to, the harder you try to beat it. And that was Wayne that day at Surfers Paradise, and he just signed a HRC contract to do MotoGP as we know it today. And of course, if I could do anything, I was going to beat him. But you know, the first race up there, I was behind him there, and I was just absolutely gobsmacked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in front of me. We'd never seen smoke coming off motorcycle tyres on a racetrack before, and there it was, right metres in front of me. And after that first race, I came in and I thought, I reckon I can just about do it if I can keep repassing, and eventually he can't repass me down the straight. I've got this in the bag, I reckon. So I went for broke, and unfortunately for Wayne, he crashed, but it was unfortunate for me too that day because, you know, a lot of people say, oh, that'd have to be one of your memorable races, but for the wrong reason, because I felt that I had Wayne beaten at that point in the race and he crashed, so that actually took that away from me. Yeah.
Really enjoying that chat with Steve Martin and of course Mal Campbell. Good to have you with us at Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. The penultimate round of the Australian Superbike Championship for Yamaha Motor Finance. Now, again, unfortunately, time constraints don't allow us to bring you every lap of every class racing here this weekend, but we will take this opportunity to show you highlights of races 2 and 3 in the Moto 3 class, very similar to production that we saw a little earlier on the program, in as much as it's just a hugely competitive class, Steve.
Well, it is hugely competitive. Those 4 boys out the front of the field there, some of the fastest Moto 3 riders that we've got in the country at the moment, and they really pushed themselves this weekend. Tom Bramich, of course, on the number 44 machine, the Victorian out front there, just riding absolutely brilliantly this weekend. And then he was chased down, of course, by Matty Barton on the number 24, the FTR 250. And Matty Barton got a bad start, but managed to catch up to those boys out front.
Yes, this is highlights of race 2 you're watching. And just talk to our viewers about the bikes. The class is described as Moto 3 125cc Grand Prix, but they're 250s in the main.
Well, pretty much what this class is it's a 125cc 2-stroke machine or a 250 4-stroke machine. So anything you like inside a GP chassis. The reason that I like this class, though, is because they are GP-style chassis. And if you want to learn to race in MotoGP, or if your dream is to ride GP one day, like some of these boys want to do, they need to get experience on bikes like this, so that when they do make that step into the overseas classes, that they know what to adjust. They've got the feeling that all of those Spanish and Italian guys and overseas guys have.
Okay, so Bramich involved in a raging battle here with Horton. And you can see there that Matt Barton ran wide on bike number 24. But across the start-finish line, it doesn't get much closer than that. It's elbow-to-elbow stuff. And these guys, well, they're regularly exchanging paint as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. And this weekend was definitely Tom Bramich's weekend. He came alive and he won his first ever race in this championship.
There's Barton on the outside on the black machine, number 24. It's a Honda FTR 250. But as has been the case right throughout the season, immensely competitive racing from the Moto3 125cc GP class. So Barton there on 24, running wide and putting it into the kitty litter.
And that is after the checkered flag, I might add. So that's how much these boys, how hard these boys push.
They do indeed. Entertaining stuff. And let's go down to Bryony Egerson.
Brian, third in that last race, second overall for the weekend. Congratulations, and gee, that championship is going right down to the wire.
Oh, it's going to be close at Phillip Island, yeah. I've had a lot of problems this weekend. 4 weeks ago I shattered my collarbone. That's still in pieces. Nobody will bolt it together. I've been on the floor twice this weekend. The bike's running a bit rich, but we got a good setup today, and I'm glad I could give Tom a good race in that one anyway. But the K1 machine, flawless really. Lattice con shift. Thank you very much for putting me on the podium again.
Well, Matt, to say you've had a challenging weekend is a bit of an understatement, but still a podium finish is a good result, but I'm sure you're a little bit disappointed.
Well, obviously a lot of other guys probably would like to finish on the podium, so you know, I'm probably more happy about keeping my my podium sort of streak alive. You know, every race that I finished on the podium, and that's really what we're here to do. And you know, I've had a few mishaps throughout the year at other rounds, and come here with the FTR and with the new bike and the new chassis, and we sort of took it as a bit of a gamble. You know, we had a package that we could win races on, we had a package that we could break lap records on, but you know, we want to progress as a rider, and you know, obviously going overseas is what the guys are running over there.
Tom, congratulations on the win. What a fantastic weekend for you, and gee, that championship battle, it's so close now.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we got to close the gap to Brian and Maddie in the championship, and yeah, it's just awesome. Come away with 3 out of 3. I can't believe it, really.
Some fantastic racing in the category across the weekend too.
Yeah, definitely. It was really tough that last race with Brian and Maddie, but the whole weekend, even when you are in front, you feel the pressure every lap. So I'm just happy to come away with the 3 out of 3 now.
Okay, a check of the progress point score in Moto3 at the completion of 4 rounds. It all culminates at Phillip Island, October 2 to 4. It is Brian Horton, 220, in advance of Tom Bramich by just 1 point, so a thrilling finale is looming there. Good to have your company at Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania. The Supersport machine's back on the track for race number 2. Here's Bryony on the grid.
Aidan, you had your equal season best race result, 4th place, starting from 4th in this one. It's not a bad spot.
No, it's pretty good. We probably could have beaten that one if I hadn't have run off in the opening laps there, but you know, it happens. It was a misjudgment, but we're going to do better in this one, and yeah, 3rd's better than 4th, so let's move forwards.
Yeah, and in the battle for the championship, yourself and Sam Lambert. Sam, unfortunately, DNFing in that first race, so it gives you a little bit of a buffer for this one.
That's right. Look, I guess, you know, I recovered well from that off-track excursion, but Sam coming off really helps me there. It gives me a little bit of a buffer, but doesn't mean we're not going to be chasing him in this one.
Absolutely. Good luck for this one.
Thank you.
We're going to take a walk up to the first row here. Track temperature at the moment, 16.6 degrees. It's a chilly one here in Tasmania. I'm going to come over and have a quick chat to Sean Giles, who's working with Braden Elliott this weekend. Sean, I saw you after that first race, and even though Braden didn't win, came second, you looked pretty happy still. It was a good job between himself and Kane.
Yeah, it definitely was. You know, to have Kane and Braden up there on 2 Suzukis is a fantastic job. But, you know, Braden's riding exceptionally well, and, you know, it's a lot colder than what it was here yesterday. So, you know, the settings that we had yesterday may be a little bit firm for the first race. But anyway, we'll see what happens in the second race. And I felt like I was riding the bike myself because my heart was pumping quite hard. But, no, they rode really well, and, yeah, full credit to the guys.
I think everyone appreciated the battle and the respect between the two of them. You mentioned the settings. What have you changed for this race?
Yeah, you know, with the colder conditions, you probably need to make the bike a little bit softer and a little bit more compliant. So, you know, I think Phil's been working on the bike, and, you know, maybe they've
softened up a little bit. But yeah, I just sort of let Phil and Braden do that, and I deal with Braden. So you know, he's feeling really good, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, no doubt we're set for another epic battle. Let's see what happens.
No worries. Thanks very much.
Yes, nice grid walk there by Bryony Ingerson as these bikes now embark on their warm-up lap. We'll have a look at the grid positions again. A question about Sean Giles. He's mentoring Braden Elliott with great results. And obviously they have Phil Tatum in their corner too for bike setup, which is unbelievable. But when is enough advice too much? Like, Sean would obviously know when to stop.
Sean would know when to stop, and that's why he is the right man to have in your corner, because he's been there, done that, won Australian Championships, and you know, he's good at reading the feelings of the rider in advance, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that Braden Elliott hasn't been through that Sean hasn't been through, so he can read the situation and read him mentally and keep him mentally in tune, and perhaps say the right thing after, you know, the first race result to get him back up on the grid and fired up to try and win this one.
Okay, Yamaha presenting this event. The coverage on Fox Sports. So Elliott on bike 51, centre of screen. The first race winner, Kane Burns, got another good start this time. The orange 30 machine, but it will be Elliott on 51 through the left-hander. Burns will want to stay close to him as they accelerate up to the next part of the course. They are racing Indian file.
Aidan Coote got a good start too. He's right up on the back of this pack now, but Chris Quinn on the Pale Ale machine way back down in the middle, so he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get on the podium again.
Sam Lambert on the Triumph is up running fourth on machine 17. We saw some good speed from him in race one, but then something went amiss with the bike and he lost a lot of speed. So we see here Braden Elliott well clear, it must be said, during these early stages. He's got a few bike lengths advantage over Kane Burns. Then it's the rider of bike 66 in third. I refer to Aidan Coote. He's Yamaha mounted, so it's Suzuki, Yamaha.
Yeah, of course. Aidan Coote not getting the best result in race one, but he's certainly making up for it this time round, and is on for a podium at the moment if he can maintain that position.
Mason Coote is in fourth position on the circuit, riding machine 53 as we ride with Nicholas Limonton, the Yamaha onboard camera. He is competitive. You can see there's quite a few spectators have ventured out here this afternoon to soak up the two-wheeled excitement in Arctic-like conditions, I might add.
Yeah, it's interesting when we were talking to Giles earlier on, Sean Giles, about the fact they alluded to that they did make some changes to the machine to soften Braden Elliott's bike up, to perhaps absorb the bumps a little bit better and to give him a little bit more feel out of those Dunlop tyres. Seems to be working for him so far. He's certainly setting a cracking pace at the moment.
Current temperature here at Symmons Plains Raceway, 12 degrees, thank you very much. Track temperature a little better at 16 degrees as we look at the Suzuki replay of the race start, and Braden Elliott getting an absolute flyer. And again, the head-on look, Kane Burns on the right-hand side of screen, eager to stay with him. Lambert got away well, as did Aidan Coote, and a real traffic jam during the early stages, as you would expect.
Yeah, it's so tight into turn 1, 2 and 3 here at Symmons Plains. It sort of like gets into Indian file, and as you can see there, one small mistake and you lose a lot of places because they just file up the inside of you until you get onto that first straight.
So the race leader on screen now, Braden Elliott, the New South Welshman, aboard the Hankook tyres. Royan's truck trailer repairs, Suzuki GS XR.
Yeah, it's funny, when I look at the lap times compared to race one, Kane Burns is actually lapping it a lot slower than he was in race one in this race here. So very, very interesting to see that perhaps he's made some setting changes the wrong way round. He's in the 57s and he did do a 56.5 in race one. So Kane Burns actually going backwards compared to Braden Elliott, who's a little bit quicker than he was in race one.
Mason Coote leading this bunch. We focus our attention on this battle, which is for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th on the racetrack. You can see Lambert is very handily positioned on board bike number 17, but Elliott is well clear of Kane Burns, Aidan Coote, Chris Quinn. So we're having a look at this battle.
yeah, Lambert, although he's still circulating this time around, of course, in race 1 he had that mechanical failure. He's probably going to be kicking himself because he was on for a podium in race 1, and although this is a good battle, it's not going to be for the podium at this stage.
The current race lap record around here for the Supersport class, 55.493. That was recorded by New South Wales rider Jason O'Halloran aboard a Yamaha YZF R6. That was back in September 2006.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, that's for sure. The track was a lot smoother then, and the bikes were slightly different specification. If we want to talk about specs, what we've got here, these are virtually standard, and back then in 2006 we could hot these machines up a lot more. So these boys are, although it doesn't look like it on the lap record, they are certainly running a very fast pace.
And odds on it was a lot warmer than it is today too.
Not hard.
That's very much the case. So this is an enthralling battle involving this quartet who are leaving nothing up their sleeve, going for broke. Sam Lambert has the best of it aboard the Sam Lambert Racing Triumph Daytona. And this is the scrap for 4th position on the racetrack.
Yeah, Mason Coote in that scrap as well, of course, doing a good job, just hanging in there. And I'm sure that he wishes that he was in that position in race 1 when he would have been battling for the podium with Sam Lambert. But, you know, Chris Quinn as well, well back. Of course, he was 3rd in race 1, and now he's way back down the field, wondering what he has to do to get in front of this group in front of him.
So they run nose to tail, if you like, through the tight left-hander.
Yeah, mate, you can look back all you like. They're still there. They haven't gone home for a cuppa just yet.
Yeah, fastest part of the circuit through that blindingly quick right-hander that they say is the fastest corner in Australian motorsport.
Yeah, it's a tricky turn, this turn 7 as well. It's not, you sort of have to breathe on the front brake lever to get in there. You don't brake that hard. You have to wash the speed off with the front wheel. There's Kane Burns, his lonely race for 2nd place.
Yeah, he's got nobody immediately behind him. He's frankly cruising in this one. He's about 10 seconds behind the race leader, Braden Elliott. Now, you've only got to imagine that Kane Burns has got a problem because obviously he won the opening event.
Well, he is. He's circulating a second a lap slower than he was in race 1, and Braden Elliott is actually 1 or 2 tenths a lap quicker. So that's why the massive deficit. But whatever they did to that machine, if they did anything at all, you know, it's not working for Kane Burns the way it did in race 1. So I guess all he needs to do now is consolidate. He's already got the 1 win, but it's certainly not going to be his day today. But this man on the number 66 machine, Aidan Coote, is certainly going to be a happy lad at the end of this race if he can hold it together.
Yes, the Castrol-sponsored Yamaha YZF R6. Again, he's been one of the more consistent lads throughout the season. You're watching highlights of Supersport, major support category to the Australian Superbike Championship. And lap 15 of 17. The leading group of riders are currently on. Braden Elliott leads in advance of Kane Burns. And this man on screen, Aidan Coote, safely in 3rd position.
Aidan's got a nice little buffer over the group battling behind him, so he should be quite safe. But Braden Elliott now, basically all he has to do is cruise around, not make any mistakes, and he will be the man for this race. But that's easier said than done. We saw him make a mistake in race 1 when he ran off and let Kane Burns get through. But right now, it's going to be difficult for anybody to catch this man.
Yep, he's got a bit of lap traffic in front of him, which doesn't matter because Kane Burns is not close enough to pounce on him. And Elliott will be very much relying on his lap boards to decipher exactly where his nearest rival is. And he'd be aware that he doesn't have to do anything silly here.
No, he doesn't. All he needs to do is just get past these back markers cleanly, which sometimes is easier said than done. If you catch them in a difficult spot, which he has into turn 1, 2 and 3 here, even though you've got a big lead, you don't feel like slowing down and sitting behind them through this section, but he might just have to until he gets on that back straight. And they're all pretty fast bikes, so it's not like he's going to whip past him in a straight line.
Yeah, that's it. He needs a clean piece of road or a clear piece of road. and a little bit of space for him to operate in now, and moves up on the inside of bike 12. That's Mark Kyoto.
Of course, Mark Kyoto, John Kyoto's son, just recently got into road racing, hadn't ridden bikes his whole life, and then decided, you know what, I want to give this a go. So his dad got him a bike, and he's out there and he's hooked.
Yeah, of course, his dad been long-term stakeholder in the sport. Now it's 28, Toby Honeychurch immediately ahead of our race leader, Braden Elliott, who comes off the final turn back onto the main straight, and he wins the second event in Super Sport here today, and does so very comfortably, defeating Kane Burns by, let me see as Burns goes across the line, 11.292 seconds, the gap between first and second. A recap of results on screen now for Yamaha. Aidan Coote, Chris Quinn, Sam Lambert, Mason Coote, and Van Buren, Limmerton, Honeychurch, and Kyoto will finishing top 10. He won't be too unhappy about that. So good job by Braden Elliott, once again reasserting his superiority in Supersport.
Yeah, he did a good job, and you know, like Kane Burns, when he went over the line, he didn't look too happy with that. Just like hitting his, you could see his head go down, so I don't think he was happy.
So being congratulated by Sean Giles and Phil Tayton. Let's head down now to Briney.
Aidan, fantastic effort, season best result, a podium finish. What a great end to the weekend for you.
Yeah, look, it couldn't have gone much better. We said at the start of the race that, you know, we had the pace to be third. We just had to do the right things, and it shows here. And I couldn't be happier. That Castrol R6 has been perfect all weekend.
Kane, not the result you wanted, not after the first race today, but still a solid points haul, and it's still, you know, anyone's championship heading into Phillip Island.
Yeah, certainly. Like, I certainly had the better weekend there at the start of the year, but Braden's turned his year around since then too. So this one's certainly been a lot more interesting apart from the last two. Like, and it's turned it around a lot for us. So hopefully we can keep going in the right direction and get to Phillip Island and have a successful weekend there.
Well, Braden, after that first race, Sean Giles said that Phil gave the bike a tune-up. Did he give you a tune-up as well?
No, look, everyone's pretty relaxed within the team, which is good. You know, we all sat down and had a bit of a team briefing and worked out where I could be faster and what we can do to the bike to help improve. So the conditions of Savo are different to what we've experienced all weekend, and the bike was working great when it was a little bit warmer, so we softened things up a little bit and got out there in that race. And I think one of the biggest things was just putting my head down and focusing on being fast and consistent, and yeah, I was lucky to do that.
Now a check of the points at the completion of round 4 after 2 Super Sport races today in Tasmania sees Braden Elliott leading by 20 points over Kane Burns, Aidan Coote, Chris Quinn and Thyron Van Buren rounds out the top 5 on 88 points. A break and then back with race 2 in Superbike.
On Fox Sports, you're watching full throttle action from Symmons Plains in Tasmania. This is the Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Our coverage is proudly presented by Yamaha Motor Finance, Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance, Motul and Pirelli.
So back here at Symmons Plains Raceway in Tasmania, Superbike Race 2 is next. It is freezing here. Here's Briney.
Brad Wootton, you're the highest placed local rider here in the Superbike category. Are you enjoying being back on the grid here?
Yeah, we are. I was probably a little surprised to be on road 2 this weekend. We didn't really know what to expect with some of these guys coming down. You know, when I was racing the series before, Mike was still in the 600, so I didn't really know how quick these guys are going to be. But they're certainly at another level, the top few here. So we're pleased to be on road 2. Debuted a new bike here on Friday. So the GSXR 1000 has been a really good package for us, straight out of the box, and been quite reliable for us. So a lot of people will help us get on the grid this weekend. Just like to thank them, and hopefully put on a good event for Tasmania.
Well, you certainly have so far. All the best for the last race today. Brad Wootton, the local Tasmanian. Look, if there's any evidence of how chilly the conditions are here, let's take a look at the tyre warmers. It's a bit of a unique situation. Blankets over the tyre warmers. I don't know about the fashion stakes. Daniel, it's a different approach to keeping the tyres warm.
Yeah, it is. I've got my old
Is that your childhood blanket?
Yeah, I think it is. Mum's kept it for the past 21 years and has brought it to Tasmania with us. Go figure.
No, seriously, obviously, Mike Jones, he continues to dominate. Is there anything that you've got for him in this final race?
We've changed a few more things, but I'm not too sure if we can pull in the gap. We'll see. It's going to be a play it by ear. We'll see what the weather does, if it remains windy or if it becomes calm or we get a few spots of rain. So I'm still doing my rain dance, but it might be a bit late now.
It's not a very good dance. I think you need to improve on that.
I've never been a good dancer, so it doesn't work.
All right, good luck for this one.
Bryony, as always, doing a great job for us on the grid in the pits, keeping us abreast of the riders' thoughts. So we'll now embark on the warm-up lap, race 2 Superbike. The Yamaha Motor Finance Australian Superbike Championship. Race 1 went to Mike Jones. He had to chase Daniel Falzon down, who led early after getting the whole shot. And as you look at the grid, Hampton and Henry, they're very handily placed in the top 4 on the grid. Of course, the grid in rows of 3. And we count down to the start of this race with no little expectation. 14 competitors have qualified for the action. This event sponsored by Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance, presented on Fox Sports exclusively. A reminder before the start of this race, the final round will be held at Phillip Island, October 2 to 4. Check out the ASBK website for further information. That will be a massive weekend, and you'll see coverage here on Fox Sports thereafter. So here we are. Jones, Falzon, and Ryan Hampton, the Kiwi. Again, it's a race in 2 off the start, a drag race between Falzon and Jones. And as he does so often, Daniel Falzon, Steve Martin, goes to the front.
Yep, we've seen it again. He's, whoa!
Dramas. Yep. 2 bikes getting locked together. Riders are A-OK. We'll come back and check the replay of that later. They're all right. Meantime, we focus our attention up front where Falzon leads Jones, then Hampton and Henry.
Red flag. We've got a red flag. Yeah, that's the right thing to do there. There's not a lot of runoff there, so they need to get those bikes off the track. One of the riders that fell down, the number 11 Aprilia there, was Sarge, and the other one, Keo, on the S1000 RR BMW. So, yeah, he just lost the front on the track days BMW. Long trip from Western Australia. You can just see there he's up the inside, just loses the front and takes Sarge out with him on the RSV4. Sarge going for a bit of a ride there, but leg trapped in between the 2 bikes, but looks like it's not too bad. But it means that these boys have to grid up for a restart.
Yes, so our highlights package continues. We now move along to the race restart. Both riders are A-OK involved in that incident. Keogh did hit his head hard on the road, but the indications are that he's okay. Good work by the race safe track safety crew and medical team. And back underway. And second start in this second Superbike race. This time it's Mike Jones. Falzon will be forced to do it from behind, and that will not be easy. Again, we see Hampton on bike number 89, very competitive from the outset. Ben Henry likewise up into 4th. And you can also see Brad Wooten is handily positioned in 5th position, the rider of machine 48, the Suzuki GSXR.
Yeah, Ryan Hampton once again, a brilliant start, as you say, got that next-gen BMW Motorsports machine off the line beautifully, and just moving around there, but closing the gap onto Daniel Falzon in 2nd position. Mike Jones is probably rubbing his hands together because he's always 2nd at this point of the race, but now he's got clear track from the start, and that's really going to put the pressure on Daniel Falzon in this race.
Yes, Falzon cannot afford to let Jones break away, and Daniel will be well aware of that. Of course, Daniel, the reigning Supersport Australian champion, having won in that class last year, stepping up to Superbikes in 2015. And has done a very commendable job. On board with Ryan Hampton now, the next-gen motorsports entry. The BMW having a really good weekend here in Tasmania. His commitment to this national championship is extraordinary. Watching the Tasman.
Look at the mumbo of that S1000R too, just sucking up in the slipstream there of the number 25 of Falzon, and he's put himself in a good position to slip up the inside. Maybe he's looking at it, but not this time around. Look how I'm not happy with the handling of Falzon's bike. It's doesn't look like it's handling very well, and that of course could be a consequence of the fact that he crashed that thing twice throughout practice.
Yeah, so the bike that we're watching on the racetrack at the present time could be a bits and pieces machine, if you know what I mean. made up of spare componentry. The Suzuki replay, another look at the start. And of course, this was the second start of the race after we saw the incident, first time of asking, involving two competitors, which led to a red flag. And you can see that Mike Jones this time was a little bit too good away from the start for Daniel Falzon. Finally. Yeah, and Falzon now has it all to do, and he's actually under heavy pressure from Ryan Hampton and from Ben Henry. So he's got plenty on his plate at the moment, has Daniel Falzon, the South Australian.
Yeah, he certainly has. Look at that. Hampton right on the back now, really on the back. He's gone up the inside. Great manoeuvre there by Ryan Hampton, but does he run wide? No, he holds it. And he gets a good drive out of the hairpin.
Well, that's a good piece of riding, isn't it, by the New Zealander? Hampton on 89, now into second position, relegating Daniel Falzon back to third. And Falzon will now need to worry about Mike Jones' teammate and team owner, for that matter, Ben Henry.
Yeah, and you know why? Because whenever Ben Henry can sniff a podium, he goes for it. And I'll tell you what, he's right on the back wheel of Falzon, and he's in fourth at the moment, but third means he gets to stand up there and thank his sponsors. So you can count on Ben Henry giving it everything he's got.
Race update for you, left-hand side of screen, Spiteri at this juncture, rounding out the top 10. You're looking here at the scrap for second, third and fourth. Henry, I alluded to it, he's the principal of this team, the Australian Outdoor Living Cube Racing Team. Falzon under brakes, tried to get the job done there. Back of the bike got very twitchy under the load of braking, and he just couldn't get himself into a position to challenge Hampton, who still maintains second spot on the racetrack.
Yeah, the Yamaha once again, with the setup they've got and the problems they've had this weekend, not handling probably as nicely as he would like. And you can just see there, Ben Henry making up ground again, able to hold a little bit tighter line, get on the gas that little bit earlier. He's going to be challenging to get past any time soon.
Good race here.
There he goes. That's a brave move by Ben Henry. Very brave move.
So Henry up to third. If you've just joined our coverage, the current championship leader, Mike Jones, is well
clear.
Massive accident. Falzon has ridden into the back of Ben Henry. How did Henry not come down too?
No, that was that looked like a missed gear. You could see him trying to go with the throttle there to get another gear, but that did not help Falzon. Falzon's bike is in the middle of the track. Oh no, that's not what he needed, Daniel Falzon. Another crash here in Symmons Plains.
Now Falzon getting out of harm's way, and he's articulating his displeasure to the...
Let's have a look and see what happens. Ben Henry, look, goes for the throttle. There's a problem there. Ben Henry lost drive.
You can see Henry looking down at his bike.
Yeah,
there, Steve.
Yeah, I'd say that he'd missed a gear. That's that is just a plain, you know, like mistake. Well, not mistake, you know, just one of those things. And at that point,
it's a racing incident.
Yeah, look, there we go. Look, the front wheel goes up, then he loses all drive, and bang, Falzon just runs into the back of him. That is just bad luck. Once again, here's another foot. Watch, see if we can see that left foot. We're not going to see that, but look, he's gone. The front wheel just completely drops down. He loses drive, nearly goes over the front. Yeah, that's just a racing incident there. Just unfortunate, bad timing for the bike to jump out of gear. And luckily that Daniel Falzon was able to walk away from that one. But that is, I don't know how that's going to affect the points if he doesn't make the restart, which he's not going to.
So our highlights coverage continuing again. We pick it up on start number 3. And 4 laps the journey here. Now that will have, actually you make a good point, that has a major bearing on the championship. Falzon still involved in a real battle with Mike Jones for outright honours. Now with Falzon not starting this race,
I reckon that Mike Jones, if he wins this, that will make him the champion.
Well, the mathematics would indicate that you are correct. So if Jones wins this, given it's a DNF recorded by his nearest challenger, Daniel Falzon, that will give Mike Jones an unassailable lead in the championship with 1 round remaining at Phillip Island, October 2-4.
Well, he's not having it all his own way at the moment because once again, next-gen rider Ryan Hampton is certainly growing in confidence and hanging on to the back of Mike Jones. He's having a really good weekend. Ben Henry's in there too in that podium position.
Well, you've got to feel sorry for Falzon, but it certainly wasn't Ben Henry's fault.
Well, wrong place at the wrong time. That's racing. Things don't always go your way. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. And unfortunately for Daniel Falzon, that was just bad luck.
Yeah, and the news from the pits is that Falzon has been assessed by the medical team, and it looks as though he's escaped that injury with a broken finger, a suspected broken finger, which will require obviously x-rays.
Well, he's a lucky boy then.
Oh yeah, if that's the worst case scenario, he is smiling. That was pretty heavy impact. Admittedly, they weren't going terminal speeds at that point, but they were certainly hard on the gas in an effort to build momentum for that run.
Well, sometimes it's worse when it's like that, because, I mean, the guy in front is actually decelerating, he's accelerating, you just run into the back of him, and your reflexes, although it looks easy to think, well, why didn't he just back off? You're just not thinking that at that time, and you're so close going through there that there's nothing that can be done. You just bang, it's all over within a millisecond.
So Mike Jones leading in advance of Ryan Hampton and Ben Henry. So the Australian Outdoor Living Cube Racing Team running 1-3. The New Zealander is the ham and the sandwich, if you like, Ryan Hampton. We now ride with him on board the BMW, the Next Gen Motorsports entry. And a stellar job he has done throughout 2015. This is the Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance on board.
Yeah, great job, Ryan Hampton. Of course, Wayne Hepburn's team have won this championship in the past with Glenn Allerton, and that is the championship-winning machine from a couple of years ago. So they certainly know how to put out and prepare a good bike.
So just one lap to go now for Mike Jones, and tremendous battle developing late in the race between Ben Henry, left-hand side of screen, and of course Ryan Hampton. They're only separated by a couple of bike lengths. So I look forward to watching this on the final lap of Symmons Plains. You can see how hard Henry's trying.
Oh, he's
the
hungry.
rear of the bike locking up there under brakes.
He's certainly very hungry as Ben Henry. Third's one thing, but he wants second.
Yeah, 1-2 would be a nice result for the team principal. Not far to go now in this one. Yeah, Mike Jones will be the Australian Superbike champion for 2015. That has been confirmed by officials. And onto the main straight, and Mike Jones on bike 46 wins the national championship. Look how close it was for second. Hampton lasting to secure the runner-up position, defeating Ben Henry. That was an enthralling battle on the last lap.
Yeah, that was. Ben Henry nearly took it all away, but Ryan Hampton got there in the end.
Well, a race, unprecedented circumstances, really. 3 starts, 3 attempts to run that race in event number 2 for Yamaha Motorcycle Insurance. So Mike Jones, Hampton, Henry. The other results you can see. So I'm not sure whether Mike Jones will necessarily know that he's won the Australian Championship with a round to go. He'll find out very soon. In fact, how about now? There's the aftermath. Bryony Ingerson getting herself into position, and let's go down to Bryony right now.
Ben, congratulations. What a weekend, not only for yourself, but also the team. First of all, 2 podium appearances, so a great result for you. And Mike Jones, new Australian Superbike champion.
Unbelievable. Really, really good. I don't know what to say. Obviously, I'm really proud of my little team and everyone in it. We all work really hard. No one any more than anyone else. We all chip in 100%. It's good for me to be on the box again. I was hoping to get second, but it's not how it panned out. I'm really happy. It's good. We'll go to the next race, no pressure, and see what we can do.
What celebrations have you got planned?
Tonight?
Or in general before Phillip Island?
I don't know. Let's make something happen.
Ryan, awesome weekend for you. 2 podium finishes, and it's a good points haul as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's been a big learning curve for us for this weekend. The cold's certainly a bit closer to home, but second race out, everything come together. Bike was feeling good, tyres were going good. It was just a bit unfortunate what happened throughout the race, but that's part of it. But yeah, I just can't thank the team enough. Next Gen Motorsports put an awesome package together with the HP4. Pirelli tyres held up real good. Mark from Race Safe was a big input to the weekend. So yeah, big thank you to the team, and I'm super happy to be up here on the podium and making it come together.
Mike, congratulations, another perfect weekend for you, and you come out of this one as the new Australian Superbike champion. Well done.
Thanks very much. Fantastic weekend here at Symmons Plains in Tasmania. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Got this Pirelli Super Pole and won both the races today. And obviously, came away with the Australian Superbike Championship and just couldn't be happier.
Tell me, what's made this happen and the team and all the effort that's gone into this championship for you.
Yeah, look, it's a lot of hard work. As a privateer outfit, the Australian Outdoor Living Cube Racing team have put in a massive effort, as always, and provided me with the best equipment that they possibly can to get the job done. And I'm just really glad that I'm able to do so and be able to get the win for obviously the team, the people who support me, whether that's sponsors or just family and friends. For everybody that gets behind me and supports me, it's fantastic. So I'm really happy to get the win.
Well done, Mike Jones. It's been some season. Recapping the points, he leads on 189 points at the completion of 4 rounds. Daniel Falzon is 60 points further back in second and can't win the championship from here. Then Hampton is next on 128, followed by Ben Henry on 111. A reminder, the final round, it's Phillip Island, the Grand Prix circuit in Victoria, October 2 to 4, and you'll see full coverage on Fox Sports on delay. For further information on the championship, visit www.asbk.com.au or follow all the social media addresses shown on screen. Well done to the top 3. Good to work with you again, Steve. Thanks for your outstanding contribution.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to Phillip Island.
Thanks for watching on Fox Sports. We'll see you at the final round coming up at Phillip Island.